Because he has to leave. So after that, we'll have Chief Peter Slowly and Michael Allen after that. But let me give it to our Mayor, Jim Watson, please.
Great. Well, thank you, Abid, very much, and thank you for your leadership in pulling us all together, and to all the people who've been on the Zoom call for the last hour or so. I've enjoyed very much the dialogue, and obviously concerned about some of the specific issues of racism that I've heard and seen today, and I thank those individuals for their bravery in coming forward. Je remercie certainement la coalition et Centraide de l'Est de Ontario. C'est vraiment important, cette partenariat avec la ville d'Ottawa. I also want to thank the City of Ottawa's new anti-racism secretariat, an idea that was brought forward, as we all know, from my colleague, Councillor King, and for the work that he's doing. And I look forward to formally welcoming Yusra to the City of Ottawa as our new specialist in anti-racism, and wish her the very, very best. And as you heard from Councillor King earlier today, he's taken this issue on with great passion and great expertise. Yusra and he and the entire team here at the City of Ottawa is very much committed to eliminating systemic racism in our society. So thank all of the participants. I understand there's a couple hundred on the Zoom call, which is great. Je remercie également chacune et chacun de vous pour votre présence dans cette forum. The number of participants, as I mentioned, is encouraging because it does demonstrate that people are wanting to come together to discuss ways to eliminate racism in our community. I also think it's a good indication of how we can work together to ensure that we live in a welcoming, diverse city that is free of discrimination and racism. And I speak for myself, and I'm sure many others who have participated in this forum, that I've learned a lot from your stories and the challenges that many of you have faced in our society. And let's be honest, we often look and scowl at the United States and see what a mess it is down there, but we don't have clean hands on this as well. We have systemic racism in all of our institutions, whether it's the police department, City Hall, federal government, the corporate sector. And that's not right, and we've heard that loud and clear, obviously, from many of the participants, and I thank those individuals for trying to cram what probably more of a 30-minute presentation, India, into 15 minutes. It makes it very tough for you to get all of your messages across, but you did a very, very good job. Much of our Canadian identity is rooted in diversity and inclusion and multiculturalism, and we often think that racism, whether it's systemic or overt, doesn't exist in our country or doesn't exist in our city. Well, we know, of course, that's not true. Right here in Ottawa and across the country, there are people and communities, particularly Indigenous peoples, Black and other racialized populations, who face systemic discrimination literally on a daily basis. What does this mean for them? Well, it means they face more obstacles when looking for employment. Or it means they're just not treated the same way in the justice system. Or perhaps it means as young children they feel ostracized by their classmates in school. It's also common for these groups to face major disparities when it comes to socioeconomic status and health outcomes. That's well known and documented. Is this reflected in fair and equitable treatment we pride ourselves on? I think we can recognize that it's not, and that we have much more to do. Well, what is the solution? The solution is going to start right here at the local grassroots level, working with all three levels of government, working with the not-for-profit sector, the private sector, and municipalities certainly are going to play a role and will continue to play a role in eliminating systemic racism. Les municipalités ont un rôle à jouer. Cities like Ottawa, the nation's capital, our second largest city in the province, have a responsibility to make sure all residents benefit equally from municipal policies, services, and programs. We also need to ensure that we create equal employment opportunities in order to create a diverse workforce. I'm pleased to say, and we've heard some of the challenges facing a lot of organizations, but this is a positive signal. The City of Ottawa has been recognized as one of Canada's best diversity employers by Media Corp Canada. And our work with Equity Ottawa has been highlighted along with the work we've done on programs such as Youth Futures and Diversity Cafés. But we know that there is more work to do. Nous savons aussi qu'il reste encore beaucoup de travail à faire. We're committed to breaking down barriers to eliminate systemic racism and advance equity for Indigenous peoples, Black and other racialized populations in our community and within city services and workplaces. As you heard before from Councillor King, our Anti-Racism Secretariat that was approved unanimously by City Council in the budget just several months ago has been hard at work. Just literally, we hired our new specialist just a few weeks ago. And we know that work has to be done, and it's not just Ralston, and it's not just Yusra that's involved in this. There's a whole team that is working with our other colleague, Teresa Kavanaugh, for instance, who's our gender equity, women's and gender equity specialist and council liaison as well. So I want to thank the United for All Coalition. We've come a long way from that meeting in our council chambers not too long ago. I know Yasser Nakvi was very much involved in that, and Michael Allen and Mark Taylor and Abid and so many others. I also want to extend a big thank you to everyone who participated. This is a big time commitment out of your schedules for the last 2 hours. Et je veux remercier la coalition ici pour tout, pour votre bon travail, non seulement avec cet forum, mais dans la communauté pendant les derniers mois. So it's critical that we have the opportunity to hear your stories and provided Indigenous, Black, and racialized residents with the chance to share information so we can learn from your experiences. As I mentioned earlier, we have learned a lot from today's forum. I certainly have. We appreciate your input and willingness to be open and frank with us. So where do we go from here? Well, the stories and ideas you've heard today are going to be very helpful as we move our anti-racism plan forward. We're going to use what has come out of today's event and obviously more dialogue over the course of the next several months to help us shape a public engagement strategy. And the strategy will include focus groups with community members, online engagement, as well as a survey. The survey will be available soon, so watch for updates and communications on this initiative. Le lancement de ce sondage aura lieu bientôt, so watch for that. And all of us are working, obviously, with the goal of developing a corporate anti-racism strategy here in the city of Ottawa, which would be a first for us in this municipality. The work of the Secretariat will also add an anti-racism lens to our city's strategic plan and policies, and it will build on previous work done to address racial inequity and systemic racism. Again, in conclusion, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for accommodating my schedule. I have to go to a meeting about one of my favorite topics, LRT, in just a few moments with the new presidents of RTG and RTM. But I've enjoyed the last hour and I guess almost 2 hours really of dialogue and feedback from members of our community. Alors, merci beaucoup encore pour l'occasion. Thanks again to Ralston and the team, and Danielle McGee from my office, who's the Director of Community Relations, will remain on for the last 5 or 10 minutes as I head to another room for a meeting. So thank you very much. And again, Abid, you've been the driving force behind this. I see your enthusiasm every time I see you or I see you on the screen. You've done a great job pulling us all together, and I very much appreciate the sincerity and dedication and passion you bring to this role, and of course the great work that United Way of Eastern Ontario is doing. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you, Mayor Jim Watson. Thanks for your leadership, and thanks for the commitment to addressing the disparities. I love that part of your speech when you spoke about the disparity and the commitment to address them. So thank you so much.